Well, good evening. Good evening. It's about that time, beloved. And we are here once more and again tonight to go through Bible study. If you have not studied from Genesis to Revelations or you have not read it, this is the place to do it every evening at 6 o'clock. Join me here, and we're just reading through the Bible in chronological order. I want to say good evening to the Bishop of Twitch. That's my one reason he's in here this evening. So much love to you. Cassandra Isaiah, that's my sister. I love you and welcome into the stream tonight. Good evening to you, beloved and favored warrior. Now we're going to go. You know how we do. We don't do a lot of delaying of the time. We get right into the word. Got you, truck driver. Be careful out there in those streets as you drive. So much love coming to you. Now, we are in the 31st chapter of Genesis, and I'm going to talk through the first portion because I definitely want to get us to tomorrow where we are ready to address Joseph. Now, it is determined by Jacob that it's time for him to depart from Laban's house. This is the interesting thing about it, because as you read the chapter in the 31st chapter of Genesis, Laban's sons now are not feeling Jacob. They're like, Father, this man has come in here and he has stolen all the things that belong to us. The blessings that should be ours, this young man is leaving with. And at this point, even Laban's countenance toward Jacob. You remember at first when he first came, when Jacob first arrived, oh, he was the best thing since sliced bread. Now as time has gone along and everybody, I mean to tell you, everybody is running game on everybody. This could be all my children, as the world turns, the edge of night. All of this is wrapped up in this one family. I'm here to tell you. And at the end of the day, the hand of the Lord is still on them, because we have the story of, as Jacob is getting ready to depart, he wants to leave with livestock. And he said the Lord told him how to go about having the cattle, so that if he said they were speckled, they came out speckled. If he was going to have the solid, they came out solid. The Lord showed him how to do that. So at the end of the day, you all know the story, and if you read it, you've already seen it. And I'm just giving a recap, overview. And so we see here, as he's getting ready to leave, he's leaving wealthy. He's leaving wealthy. Now, the one thing I do want to say, he said, this is what the Lord told me to do, and he did it the way the Lord told him to do it, and bam, there you have it. So now everybody's not feeling so good about Jacob, because Jacob at this point is leaving them. He is blessed beyond measure. He has wealth untold. And Laban and Laban's sons at this point are like, no, sir. No, sir. You got to go. And they don't necessarily say that, but as Jacob is getting ready to leave, please believe they were happy to have him getting his hind parts out of their country, because they're about sick of him. So then this is where I'm going to start today. And you remember when earlier it was such that when Rebecca was talking to Jacob, and she's, oh, I don't want him to take a wife from the house and the daughters of Heth, because they're this and they're that. Listen, as I said, this could have been As the World Turns. This could have been Peyton Place. This could have been The Edge of Night, all of that, because this was a living soap opera going on. And as I read this story, I'm always tickled and amazed at how Rebecca wanted to look down her nose at the daughters of Heth, and I'm like, oh my God, your brother, now this is where I want to start tonight, because now we're starting with your niece, who is married to your son Jacob, and Laban went to shear the sheep. And Rachel, now this is Laban's daughter, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. Now we got a thief in the midst. You're talking about the daughters of Heth, and look, you don't have room to talk about anybody else's family, because your family is a hot mess. Rachel steals her father's images. So here we got, and Jacob stole away, meaning he was getting out of there. He was getting out of Dodge unawares away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that when he told him not that he fled. Okay, I did a little rough reading on that, but basically he didn't tell Laban he was leaving. He got his stuff, he stole away, and he was out of there. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face towards the mount of Gilead. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled. So it was 3 days before Laban even knew that Jacob had gone. Now remember, and Jacob's wife, Laban's daughter Rachel, stole her daddy's stuff. And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in Mount Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. So, God intervenes here and says, hey, leave him alone. Don't talk to him bad. Don't talk to him good. Just leave him alone. Now, 7 days' journey. Laban is hot. Laban is like, you already got 3 days journey on me. You already been traveling. Didn't tell me you were leaving. Didn't tell me you were taking all of the possessions and belongings and this and that and the other. Now Laban needs to be shamed, because at the end of the day, Laban tricked Jacob first. So it's like, who can trick the tricksters? Because all of y'all are something else up in here. All of you all are something else. So at this point, Jacob has come. He's gotten rich and got both of Laban's daughter, Leah and Rachel. And Leah he didn't even want, but he got her anyhow. But at the end of the day, he leaves and they got all these sons going with them. Now, God has to intervene on Jacob's behalf because Laban was heated. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done that thou hast stolen away unawares? Didn't tell me you were leaving, just up and ran off, and carried away my daughters as captives taken in the sword. Now you're getting a little dramatic here, Laban, because at the end of the day, you married your daughters off to him in a wicked way. In a deceptive way. Now you want to talk about you're taking away my daughters. They're his wives. So at this point, hello, don't try to play. Don't play, Laban. Don't play. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly and steal away from me my daughters and didn't tell me? Oh, I might have sent thee away with mirth and with songs, with tabret and with harp. Now remember, Laban's countenance had changed. And Jacob, in the earlier passage, we didn't read it tonight because I didn't want to start there. But at the end of the day, Jacob had told his wives, Laban's countenance has turned towards me. Jacob already knew Laban is not feeling me anymore. Now, really what has gotten Laban's goat here is that before he could do any more trickery or anything else that he might have had up his sleeve to pull out on Jacob, Jacob was already gone. Oh, can you imagine? Laban is hot. Cassandra, pride will make you think you can hide, escape, and completely get away with your dirt, wrongdoings, and sin. You better think again and repent quickly. Come on here, Cassandra. You better tell the people. Because at the end, as the old folks used to say, rest assured, your sins will find you out. So here we have, wherefore did you flee? And I could have had a party for you. Now he know just as good and well he's lying, because he's mad and he's not warm towards Jacob, but you got away. And so I'm gonna make this sound like I really wanted to have a celebration before you left. And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. Now talk your real talk, Laban. You want to put your hands on this baby, and he had already perceived this before you got a chance. Now you're mad because before you could lay hands on him suddenly as you so desired, he's gone with the wind. But he's given this story, and then he finally gets around. I really could, at this point, do you some hurt. But the God of your fathers, come on here, the God of your fathers spake unto me yesternight, saying, take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good. So now I got to give Laban this much because he's at least reverencing the word and the voice of the Lord. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. I'm sorry. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. So, really, Jacob's kind of like, and you out here accusing me of stealing, I ain't stole nothing. Listen, if I have, if it's found amongst us, do what you will. But again, he's got a wife that's got sticky fingers. He's got a wife that's out here and saying, listen, these are the gods. Now, I want to be serious about that. The gods of her father, Laban, that she stole, those are the gods that she's familiar with. Okay, so let's not get that twisted, because in her own mind, I'm sure she's thinking, I'm going to worship the gods that I know, because at this point, I'm still learning all of this about Jacob, and Jacob's family really haven't lived with them. But now we're getting ready to, but I'm going to take what's familiar to me as far as my worship. But woman, you stole your daddy's stuff, and daddy is hot. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now here we go. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent but found him not. Now, saints, listen, Rachel is slick. And she said to her father, let it not displease my Lord that I cannot rise up before thee. No, I can't rise up because I'm sitting on the stolen goods. I'm telling you, for the custom of women is upon me. In other words, I'm on my cycle. Now, the lying and the cheating and the stealing that's going on amongst these folks is just too much. It's too much. And in my mind, I always reflect back when I get into these particular chapters, how Rebecca had nerve to talk about, don't let my son marry one of the daughters of Heth, lest I die. Stay lifted a hot mess. Do you understand the words that are coming out? This is a hot mess. And you're over here judging the daughters of Heth, and your family is toe up from the floor up. She just lying and carrying on. I can't get up because I'm on my cycle. And he searched but found not the images. Oh my God. And Jacob was wroth and chode with Laban. Now, Jacob is thinking, I told you we didn't have your gods. Why are you out here doing this to us? And so now he's got major attitude with Laban. What is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Well, now hold on, Jacob, because in the heat of it all, the reason why you went in the midnight hour, the reason why you slipped off without telling anybody and stole away 3 days into a journey before it even got back to Laban that you had left, because you knew that Laban's countenance towards you had already fallen. You knew that Laban's son's countenance had fallen against you, because at the end of the day, you had contrived this way to actually come up and leave wealthy with their cattle and the speckled and the salt. I mean, there is so much going on in this story, y'all, that it's just too much. But everybody wants to blame everybody, but nobody wants to admit to their part in the wrongdoing. That part. Can I say that again? Everybody wants to blame everybody, but nobody wants to admit to their part in the wrongdoing, because the whole lot of them were wrong. The whole of each and every one of them was just up to all kinds of tricks. Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it here before me, my brethren and my brother, that they may judge between the two of us, basically is what he's saying. Now, you ain't found nothing. It's the truth, Crystal Method. I'm trying to tell you. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Now he's doing some talking. Thus I was in the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in this house. I have served thee 14 years for thy two daughters. Now he's still mad about that, y'all. He's still mad. Don't play. You done tricked me. You for 14 years I've served you for your two daughters, and the first one I didn't want. How about that? You tricked me, sir. So all of this, he's recounting and regurgitating and listen, stay lifted. That joker is hot. That joker, 14 years of my life you stole and tricked me out of. Listen. So at the end of the day, all these 20 years that I've done, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Now, come on now. You done messed with my money. You'd still be mad too, Crystal Method. I think we all would be, especially when you start talking about, and you change my, I don't know. I almost want to say change my wages 10 times would really make you hot. But I think I'd have been hot on door number one. I worked for this wife and you tricked me and gave me another one. I think door number one would have took me out. Door number one, or door number two, or door number three. There was deceit behind all of them. So at the end of the day, I'm hot. So we're basically, listen, Crystal Method, I'm trying to tell you. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. So he's basically telling them, if it was up to you, Laban, even though I've done all this work, even though I've done the things that you told me to do, even though you promised me a wage and changed it 10 times and just kept tricking me, if it was up to you, you still wouldn't give me not one measly dime. Come on here. If it was up to you. But God hath seen my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked thee. Oh, Lord, the Lord rebuke you. And rebuked thee yesternight. You better talk. He's feeling his oats now. And Laban answered and said to him, Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. Oh my God. Listen, we get ready to get everybody told up in here tonight. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now, therefore, come thou, let us make a covenant, because everybody's heated up in here, and somebody's about to end up getting hurt. Let's make a covenant. And if you notice, this becomes almost the same when there was an issue in Egypt, let's make a covenant. When there was an issue with Abimelech, let's make a covenant. Now that we got this a variance that's going on between, because at the end of the day, nobody, we really don't want to see folks getting killed, folks getting hurt, folks getting devastated up in here. And as Laban said, I have to stop and say, this is a serious, serious scenario, because at the end of the day, these are my daughters. At the end of the day, these are my grandchildren. At the end of the day, now those ain't your flock, because basically, there was an agreement made between you and Jacob, which of the flock he could take, and you agreed to it. So, but you didn't know that he had a way that God had revealed to him how to get these animals to be speckled, or how to get these animals to be solid. He had found a way to figure out how to increase his hand where the stock and the animals were concerned. So, Laban's feeling like he's been tricked too, but at the end of the day, he's trying to say, okay, let's make a covenant so we don't just everybody lose their head out here. And Jacob took some stones and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And you know, a lot of times the fellowship of a meal can start to break down a lot of animosity if you're open to it. You know, many of the different organizations, one thing that they often, even amongst the multitude and the variation of faith traditions, one of the things that they often say, let's have a meal. Let's have a meal together, because there's something about the breaking of bread and eating food that can sometimes break down the walls of barrier and at least allow you to be together in the same place. And Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Gilead. And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another. Now, I just want to say this. You know how we do the may the Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. How many churches use that for a benediction, but how many churches really don't realize that really they're making a covenant because they're mad at each other? And he's basically, listen, the Lord better watch between me and thee. And I often, when I hear churches use that for a benediction, I said, oh, I don't think they read the whole story, because I don't think they get the full impact of what that is saying, because that was not a well-wished situation. These brethren were hot at each other, and they were trying to basically, oh my God, may the Lord watch between me and thee. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's interesting how things can be repackaged and repurposed for a different meaning. But these brethren were hot, and they were trying to come to a place of resolution. He said, if thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives besides my daughter, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. Come on, truck driver. You understand what I'm saying? So Laban he's laying down some law here, and he's laying down some heavy words with this watching between me and thee. Because if you jack my daughters around, something getting ready to happen. Something's getting ready to jump off. I promise you, there's going to be something to pay. So, and Laban said to Jacob, behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. Okay, so we're now using this pillar, and this is what's going to separate the two of us. And we promise that if you cross over, you're not coming to do me any harm. You're not going to hurt me. You're not going to steal from me. You're not going to devastate me anyway. This pillar of stones is basically going to separate us. But God is our witness before us that if we cross over the other side, it's really a matter of them calling a truce. Can I put it that way? It's really a way of them calling a truce and setting that pillar of stones as a location. Don't cross this path. Don't come over here angry. Don't come over here mad. Don't come over here with any kind of negative energy in your heart thinking you're going to do me some harm. Because at that point, may the Lord watch between me and thee. Something about to jump off over here. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread and tarried or stayed all night in the mount. And early in the morning, Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters, and he blessed them. And Laban departed and returned into his place. All right. So now at the end of the day, we've still got Rebecca and her lion tail out here with her father's idols. All of this has gone down. This covenant and truce has been made between thee. Don't cross this. Listen, do not cross this heap of stones right here with any idea of doing me any harm, or may the Lord watch between me and thee. And Jacob went on his way and rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them. And Laban, I thought I had read that one already. Oh, it's a repeat. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. Now, we're getting ready to come into a place of reconciliation now between Esau and Jacob, because as you remember, they left heated. So, it's like almost every place that Jacob went, it was just, even when he was digging the wells, he was making the folks in Abimelech's house. Listen, everywhere he went. But I still want to go back to Rehoboth, because listen, God has made space for us. Come on, and we will flourish and be fruitful in this place. But we're now ready to come back and start some reconciliation in the family. And so we have, and he commanded them, saying, "Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau." Now he's calling Esau his lord, because listen, he's not coming back with that same energy that he left with. And this is what I want you all to understand. I will say, in all of this foolishness that has taken place while he stayed in the house of Laban, while he worked there those 14 years, while Laban changed his wages 10 different times, as Laban pursued after him, after he had gone and stole away secretly. I think by now, actually, if we think about it, Jacob has learned some things. If you keep living, that's what my dad used to always say. You just keep living. If you just keep living, you'll learn some things. He'd been through some places, been through some stuff, and he's taken on a little bit of a different energy, and he's understanding. Speak unto my lord Esau. There's some reverence on that. There's some respect on that, which was not necessarily the way he had left Esau when they left up out of there. But by now, if you get burnt enough times, and that's why I say you reap what you sow, the same trickery that he committed against Esau, he sowed the wind, but he reaped the whirlwind. So we got him now coming back. He's kind of feeling Esau's pain because he's been there. He's experienced that. And he understands what it feels like to have that shoe on the other foot. So he has a different level of respect that he's now manifesting towards the way he's approaching Esau. It's a different energy. And sometimes you just need to go and be apart until you can come back with a different energy. Did I say something right there? Sometimes, instead of just keep on rubbing and rubbing and rubbing and irritating and frustrating and making mad, sometimes you need to go away and just be set apart till you can come back with a different respect. You understand what I'm saying? So we see him, "Thy servant Jacob saith thus." Now look, he's putting himself in a position of servitude. He's putting himself in a position of lowliness. He's putting himself in a position that of humility and humbleness. And so that, beloved, that's growth. There's some development that has occurred here, because by all rights, the way he tricked Esau and out of his blessing, Esau had reason to be irritated, to be hurt, to be crushed, to be devastated. So he's understanding the pain that he inflicted on him. Why? Because Laban inflicted that same kind of pain on him through deceit, through deception. So now he has a better understanding, and he comes back with a different attitude. I'm going to go to verse 7. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels and the two bands, and said, "If Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape." So he's just trying to make arrangements to set them up in a way, because he's really fearful that over this time, Esau's hatred toward him is still burning just as hot as it was when they departed and left after he stole out by trickery the blessing of his father. So he's saying, "I don't want to lose everybody, so I'm going to set you all up in two bands or two camps. And if Esau comes unexpectedly and he kills the first band, at least we can escape with the second one. So that's basically what he's trying to do. And he's anticipating that his reuniting with Esau is not going to be good. And Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidest unto me, return into thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal with thee. I am not worthy of the least." Oh Lord! Now I'm with him on this, but y'all know how I feel about when in 2025 y'all run around. But listen, I understand from the context of what he's saying here. He's right on point. "I'm not worthy of the least of all thy mercies and of all thy truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I have passed over this Jordan, and now I'm become two bands. So I left out of here with nothing. I came back with two bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children." Listen. "And thou sayest, I will surely do thee good and make thy seed as the sands of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night and took of that which came to his hand a present for his brother Esau. 200 she goats and 20 he goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams." He said, "Listen, let me send him a little taste of wealth. Can I do that and see how that works? 30 milch camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she asses and 10 foals." He said, "Listen, we just gonna load him up with blessings and benefits." And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, "Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove." And he commanded the foremost, saying, "When Esau my brother meeteth thee and asketh thee, Who art thou, and whither goest thou? Whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's." Now he's still coming across as a servant. He's showing that humility and that servitude. "It is a present sent by unto my Lord," and he's still using the Lord, "Esau, and behold, also he is behind us." And so commanded he the second and the third and all that followed the droves, saying, "On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when you find him, and say, moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us." So I'm going to go on and just kind of fast forward, because we're going to see them come back together, and we're going to find that when he encounters Esau again, Esau's heart is softened toward him, and there really is not all of the animosity that he's anticipating that he's going to get from him. I want to jump to verse 24. We get to the night as we're waiting, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. A lot of times, right when you get to that point of your blessing and your breakthrough and your breakout, that's where you're going to find yourself wrestling until the break of day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, meaning the angel, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." And he said, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." And he said unto him, "What is thy name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." And Jacob asked him and said, "Tell me, I pray thee, thy name." And he said, "Wherefore is it that thou dost ask my name?" And he blessed him there. "You asked for a blessing, I gave it to you." And Jacob called the name of that place Peniel, "For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." Now we all know, many of you use the idea and the concept that Jacob meant trickster, a deceiver, supplanter, but it also meant behind. It also meant, and that all of these are still images and concepts that come from Jacob, because you remember Jacob and Esau, they came out of the womb, and Jacob had his hand on Esau's heel and was tussling with him in the womb. So all of the different definitions that we see that refer back to the name Jacob, that typically we look at more so from a negative perspective. He's not behind, he's not the supplanter, he's not the trickster, but we're going to change your character. We're going to change your name. We're going coming into a new place. Jacob called that place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Now, I want to get, and he passed over Peniel. Let's actually, and I want to see where I want to go here because I'm jumping over. We know he changed his name from Jacob to Israel. Therefore, the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is now, and this is what I want to say about that. My grandfather, who was a preacher's preacher, would often talk about bulldog tenacity. And this, when I read the story of Jacob wrestling with the angel, is what I consider to be a bulldog tenacity. Jacob is, I almost want to use the word desperate, but not in a bad way. Jacob is desperate for a blessing. He has left Laban. He's lost favor with Laban. He's lost favor with Laban's children. He's about to meet his brother Esau, who he very much thinks could very well kill him and all his family, his wives and his children, because of the way he left there. This man is humbled. This man is brought to his knees, and he needs a blessing. And I want you to hear and understand again, sometimes when you've gone through all of those places, much of it for your making, because Jacob needed to be remade. Jacob needed to be remolded. Jacob needed to be humbled. Jacob needed to have the trickster and the supplanter knocked out of his character so that he could become a greater man. Sometimes when we've gone through all the different changes and we feel like, oh my God, everybody's turned on me. My brethren hate me. Fill in the blank, just all of these things. And God is making you. At one of the times that would have been his lowest, he knew he needed a blessing. And this is what I want you to get down in your shondo. Rather than having an idea and a spirit of giving up, rather than giving into defeat or giving into depression, giving into throwing in the towel, when you know and you feel that pressure breathing down your neck, y'all know what I'm talking about. When you feel that pressure breathing down your neck, that's when I want you to have bulldog tenacity, just like Jacob. I'm not going to let you go. I'm going to wrestle right here. I'm going to wrestle right here. I'm going to wrestle right here because my soul needs a blessing from on high. My soul needs a deliverance that only you can give. My soul needs a word spoken into it that's a right now rhema word. My soul needs to hear something. I need to hear spirit speaking. I need to hear spirit speaking life into my dry and dead places. I need spirit speaking, and I don't care. I'm not going to budge. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to stop wrestling until I get that blessing. And that's where the transition comes. That's where the change is made. And that place is so close to your giving up spaces. But you got to have, and what do I mean when I say that? Usually, the darkest hours just before dawn, as some folks used to say, and my father, I tell this story that I heard my father say, come on, stay lifted. I heard my father tell this story ever since I was a little child, and it has always stayed with me, and I'm going to tell it in brief. But he told a story about a man during the time of the gold rush, and he went out and did his prospecting, and he just picked away at the wall in the mines year after year after year after year after year, and never ever hit a load. And he threw the pick in the wall, sat down disgusted and depressed, and gave up and died. And as the story would be told, and I'm condensing it, and my father was a good storyteller, let me tell you. As he told it, the next man came along, pulled out the pick, and there was the biggest gold load that had ever been discovered. the moral to that story, just when you throw the pick in the wall and sit down and give up, that's exactly where your blessing lies. And so I have to encourage you, that bulldog tenacity, when you feel like giving up, and at that place and that moment in time when you feel like you can't go another further, I want you to understand your blessing is right there. Hear me. Your blessing is right there. I just need you to have that bulldog tenacity. Jacob wrestled, and I said, you know what? That area of that muscle may have shrunk up, but at the end of the day, honey, his pimp and his limp had a blessing in it. He received the blessing that he needed, such that, again, after the daybreak, and he went and saw his brother and went back into his land, in his country. And this is a thing. Sometimes God will send you into a foreign land, and I'm saying spiritually or figuratively, not necessarily literal, but it may be literal. Sometimes God may send you into a foreign land for your making and for your development. And when you're ready, and when you're made whole, and when your name's been changed, then you can go back home. And when you go back home, I'm talking about the place and the space that God has given you. I'm not talking even about family and friends and locale. I'm talking about when you find when you find yourself, when you get comfortable in your skin and know your who you are. That's what I'm calling when you go back home. When you go back home, you can go back home in peace. And that's exactly what happened here with Jacob. And so his name is now changed to Israel. We're ready now to raise up the 12 tribes of Israel out of all of them. As one reason said on yesterday, they were just pimping him out. But listen, you may be being taken advantage of today. But listen, I know my thoughts concerning you, said the Lord. Thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you a desired end. God's not going to leave you in that position forever. There is a blessing. And even though people may have despised you, people may have misused you, people may have abused you, whatever the case may be, you may have been abusing the people and you may have been misusing folk. But at the end of the day, when you get in your rightful place, when you get in your right mind and you come out of that corrupted psychology, when you can come to a space and place where that intimacy with God means more to you than anything else in this world, and that relationship, you cultivate it and you cling to it and you cleave until your change comes, Crystal Method. Hey, you better talk to me in here. Until your change comes, I'm not going to let you go. Stay there until you find your blessed place. Stay there. Don't get a corrupted psychology that starts thinking crazy. Because almost like the disciples, listen, when Jesus, where am I going to go? You have the words to eternal life. I don't have it. You are my source. You are the air I breathe. You are the very essence of my being. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? One old song said, where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul. I was needing a friend that could save me at the end. And you tell me, where could I go but unto the Lord? There is no other place to go until your change comes. Don't let go. All right. And we're going to bring that on up too. So we see the reunion with Esau is he comes with apprehension, but at the end of the day, he meets Esau and they have reconciliation. The journey resumes. Judah's 3 sons, we talk about that in Genesis 38, the birth of the birth of Onan, and the birth of Shelah. Dinah's defilement. I didn't really get off into that, but we may touch on it. I really want to get to Joseph tomorrow, but we may touch on that for just a hot second tomorrow before we jump right into Joseph. And then we go to return to Bethel, the death of Rachel upon Benjamin's birth. So she has that last son of promise, Benjamin, but she dies in childbirth. That is Joseph's little brother. And so then we come on and we're down to 1710 BC. Return to Hebron or Hebron, whichever way you want to pronounce that. And this is where we are for those that are following along in our Reese's chronological. So we are down to January the 26th. And we're going to jump right into Joseph on tomorrow. Like I said, I may touch on Dinah's defilement just a bit, just because I am a womanist theologian, and I want to address that just a little bit if I feel led to go that way. If not, we'll jump right in with Joseph, and we'll keep right on telling the story as we experience it through the book of Genesis. Now, I want to appreciate everybody that's come in tonight. And am I over? Oh my, I'm really over. But I appreciate you all for your patience with me here and being just a little bit extended beyond our time. I want to appreciate one reason the Bishop of Twitch, who was here first bright and early, Cassandra Isaiah. I appreciate you again, sis, for coming in tonight, and you always share. Truck driver, I hope that you are out there safe if you're still driving. So much love to you, my brother, and be safe. Crystal Method, you know it's always a blessing to see you in the midst, chitting, chatting with the saints. I thank you so much. Stay lifted. Wasn't it a mess? I'm trying to tell you, just a hot mess. I love you, sis. You are the lifter of my head. Coming on down, Crystal Method, truck driver, stay lifted. Miss P. Smitty, come on. Good to see you, my sister. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. You're not, whenever you get here, you're right on time. That's what I tell people all the time. Thank you for stopping through, and I appreciate you for being here. Now, as we get ready to get up out of here, I always say, if you are wanting to go and you've never gone from Genesis to Revelation, you want to meet me here every evening around 6 o'clock. Except on Wednesdays between 6:15, 6:30, depending on how late my meetings run. But we're here every evening around 6 o'clock, the 6 o'clock hour, going from Genesis to Revelations this year in the chronological Bibles. You can use either Tyndale's 1-year chronological Bible, or you can go out to my Discord. I'm intermingling the two between Reese's Chronological and Tyndale's. All right. Right now, I'm more so heavily following the Reese Chronological right now. So that's in my Discord. It is pinned up. You can go out there to Word on Fire, WOF Bible Study, and you'll find it pinned up there at the top of the page. All right. I love you guys. I hope something that I said helped you all this evening. If anything, the last word I guess I want to have, don't ever turn your nose up at anybody. Because as I said, while we go back one generation and Rebecca was looking down her nose at other folks, her family is a hot mess. None of us has a finger to point, and none of us has anybody to look down upon. And understand, as I'm going to keep reiterating over and over again, people are growing, people are maturing, people are coming into who they are. Please bear with one another, because rather than taking that picture and freezing people in a frame and never allowing them to develop and have growth beyond that frozen frame, keep your energy in video mode where it continues on from frame to frame to frame, and you can see the changes that are actually taking place rather than getting stuck. Love one another, but love yourself the most, and love God even more than that. I love you with the love of God. And as I always like to say, as we get ready to get out of here, peace for your journey. And I'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.